Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sportcat Daily Gazette. It's a bit foggy there, isn't it? All right. Welcome. Hello, Denise. Welcome to the chat. I'm glad you're here. I invited everybody over from Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio and Radio X in Australia. Good morning, Australia. It's like 12:07 a.m. there, so I'm the first thing you're hearing at the crack of the new day. That's kind of scary. So welcome. I want everybody to come over and join our live chat. We have Denise in there currently, and I see a few other people hiding back there. But come on over. You can interact with us. And I was thinking, we normally give kind of serious news and some stuff going on, and I'm still wanting to do that. But, you know, we are on an internet radio station, so that gives me a little bit more freedom. Not that I'm going to be racy or bad. Maybe naughty. I could be naughty. But anyhow, but we're also on a rock and roll station, so we can have a little bit of freedom there and a little expression. So, and we're on at midnight in Australia. What a better time to have a little fun. So we might see a little shenanigans in today's show. You never know. I didn't say I'm getting naughty, but we'll have some fun. So, but everybody come over and join our chat. Para are normal guys. Now I am going to do one thing quite different today that I've never done before. And as everybody knows, I'm a Mountain Dew junkie. If you want to buy me a Mountain Dew, the links are in the show description. There's a new Mountain Dew, Baja Caba Citrus. It is tropical citrus punch. It's also got natural and artificial flavoring in it, but it's only 170 calories, but I'm more worried about the caffeine. I'm going to try that. First time, so... Oh, that was a sound effect. We'll see how bad or how good this is. I'm kind of scared because I don't like to deviate too much in my Mountain Dew. So we're going to try that as we get going this morning. You'll get my first impression of the Baja Mountain Dew. What did I say it was? It's got tangerine. No, it's got tangerine. It's the tropical citrus punch. So let's see if it lives up to my Mountain Dew standards here. It's a bit sweet. Got extra fizz. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it about a 5. It's meh. So I'll drink it, but it's not my favorite. I still like the Blue Volt. And it's hard to beat the original green. Okay, well, that's enough of that. But yeah, that's interesting. So I'll be sipping on that periodically, probably switching to water more quickly than I normally do. All right. Well, let's see here. Today, let's start off our morning. Today, let's see who's got birthdays and events on April 22nd. And let's see. I don't know who that is. Founder of Dartmouth College was born today. And the first treasurer of the U.S. was born today. And let's see, Julius Robert Oppenheimer. Oh, I had a famous movie about him. The physicist who is considered to be the father of the atomic bomb. Eddie Albert, fondly referred to in his role as Oliver Wendell in the TV series Green Acres. Donald J. Cram, he co-founded chemist, and he was a co-founder chemist in the field of host-guest chemistry. Don't know what that is. Aaron Spelling, well, we know who that is. He's a television producer. Charlie's Angels, The Love Boat, Beverly Hills 90210, Charmed. Betty Page, she was the queen of pinups. Charlotte Rae, one of the most recognizable for her character Edna Garrett on Different Strokes and The Facts of Life. Paul Chambers, one of the most successfully and wide-known people of the 50s. Okay, I'll take a pass. Hey, who I was named after, I did not know that. Glen Campbell. He was born on this day. He was from 1936 to 2017. Jack Nicholson. We know who Jack is. I don't have a sound effect handy. I should have had a sound effect. Stephen Fawcett, the first person to fly solo nonstop around the world in a balloon. Oh, my hero, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Well, he's also known as Negan, among other things. Machine Gun Kelly. Let's see. Memorable events that occurred on 22nd of April. President Washington attends the opening of the first circus in the United States. Congress passes the Coinage Act of 1864, permitting the inscription of "In God We Trust" to be placed on all coins. Yeah, there's some history. Thomas Stevens leaves San Francisco on the first bicycle trip around the world. It took him 2 years, 9 months. How do you bike over the ocean? I don't know how to. That's weird. In 1889, settlers in Oklahoma began claiming 1.9 million acres of land in an Indian territory. 1897, New York City Jewish, good Lord, it's the Mountain Dew. In New York City Jewish newspaper, Forward is published for the first time. The paper is still active to this date. In 1898, the Volunteer Army Act is passed by Congress, asking for volunteers to join the cavalry. And the American Power Boat Association, formed in 1903. The first atomic explosion is seen on network television. 1970, Earth Day is founded. We'll talk about that here in a bit. 1972, astronauts John Young and Charles Duke ride the lunar rover on the moon. Took a nice little four-wheeling trip there. Barbara Walters, I'm trying to read too fast, becomes the first female nightly network news anchor. That was 76. Optical fiber is used for the first time to carry live telephone calls in 1977. That seems like it was just so far away from today. Earl Anthony wins the Firestone World Bowling Tournament. Okay. And in 1993, the Holocaust Memorial Museum is dedicated in Washington, D.C. All right. Let's see. So let's go back to today. And what do we have? Today is School Bus Appreciation Day. Well, yes. Barbara Wawa. Yes, Barbara Wawa. I remember that. It was a Saturday Night Live bit, wasn't it? It's School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. It's the fourth Tuesday in every April. And it's National Jelly Bean Day. Who doesn't like jelly beans? Jelly beans. Who can resist a handful of sweet jelly beans on National Jelly Bean Day? Well, April 22nd is your day because we're celebrating National Jelly Beans all day. While candies made in similar manner existed before the jelly bean, Boston confectioner William Schraft made them popular during the Civil War. I didn't realize they were that old. With their firm exterior, jelly beans were the first candy sold by the pound. Schraft encouraged his customers to send them to Union soldiers. In the 30s, jelly beans become closely associated with the Easter holidays thanks to their egg-like shape. However, confectioners make jelly beans available all year long now, so there's no excuse not to enjoy them if you have a craving at any time of the year. Everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone knows. Denise says, I hate jelly beans. Well, okay. It depends. The 40th president of the United States, Ronald Reagan, enjoyed jelly beans so much that they were present at his inauguration. He started eating them when he quit smoking years before. The Herman Goldtees Candy Company supplied red, white, and blue jelly beans for the 1980 event. At the time, the company didn't produce blue jelly beans. They created a blueberry jelly bean for the first time, especially for the inauguration. So the best way to enjoy it is, of course, eat some jelly beans. And you can download and print a jelly bean postcard and send it to someone you know. All right. How many calories are in a single jelly bean? Well, one jelly bean contains 4 calories. And can you make jelly beans at home? I'll have to ask my mom this. She's the confectioner baker. Yes, there are several recipes that will help you make jelly beans at home. What was it was made by Brock's. It was the white nougat candy that had all the little different, like little slices of, I don't know, like cherries and apricots and stuff in it. I don't know. Yeah, that was one of my favorites. It was a little square white nougat thing. I'll have to look that up. All right, so today, April 22nd, is National Earth Day. We're going to talk about that a bit. Each year, April 22nd, National Earth Day campaigns around the globe promote ways to keep the Earth healthy and our planet livable. Hashtag National Earth Day. Since its inception, the organizers promote events educating the public about a variety of subjects, including climate change, air pollution, we talk about that. Water pollution, we don't talk about that too much. Erosion, we do talk about that. Recycling, composting, renewable fuels and powers, carbon footprints, efficient cars, rainforests, and ecosystems. As citizens of the world, we can take actions. We can take actions to protect the earth, its creatures, and its habits. Greener living can include more fuel-efficient vehicles or windows. It can include landscaping for your climate, reducing the amount of water required. Numerous green campaigns launch events around the globe each year. Join one near you to help organize your community. And ways of supporting or observing National Earth Day: support and use recycling. I'm a big fan of recycling. Volunteer to clean up local parks and streets on cleanup days. Atlanta, hint, hint. Support and frequent green businesses. Not sure if I know of any green businesses. Use reusable products versus disposable. Repurpose items when they have outworn their use. Now, my wife has a problem with that. Mrs. Sportcat hates it because I don't like to throw anything away. Shop secondhand in thrift stores for gently used items. I've done that my entire life. And use energy efficient appliances or line dry your clothes. I can't line dry my clothes because of my allergies, and that yellow stuff in the air gets on them and I sneeze my head off. So growing up in Virginia my entire life, I wore clothes that were dried on the line during the summer, but since I moved to the South, I can't do it anymore. Yeah, so that's just me though. Walk or ride your bike to work if possible. I really want to get an e-bike. I know I'm getting old. I'll get e-bike and move to Florida. Me and Ross will be riding around on our scooters. So carpool or make one trip instead of multiple trips for shopping. I use Amazon. Encourage your favorite products to reduce packaging. They don't reduce packaging. They reduce the size that's in the package. Fill them with more air. Check out 1 square inch of silence on Earth Day. Encourage you to participate in naturally silent spaces around the globe. Not so sure about that one. I can't stand the quiet because of the intracranial hypertension causes a constant noise in my head. It's not the voices. Don't worry, they're under control. But I can't stand for there not to be some type of ambient noise around me. I agree with being out in the woods and finding a quiet spot, but still like to hear the birds, the waterfalls, or something. Share your Earth Day experiences and join the conversation using hashtag Earth Day on social media. Well, if I share one of my Bigfoot stories, is that close? National Earth Day history. In 1969, the concept was established at UNESCO conference, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, in San Francisco. On March 21st, 1970, a sanctioned proclamation was signed by Secretary General U Thant at the United Nations. And a month later, on April 22nd, 1970, U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson founded Earth Day. While National Earth Day is not considered a national holiday, we encourage you to learn more. Some Q&A about it. Is Earth Day international? Yes, it began in the United States and has become international in 1990. How many people participate? Well, each year about 1 billion people participate. I guess we're participating by talking about it. When was Earth Day's anniversary? In 2020, Earth Day celebrated 50 years old. Well, it's catching up to me. Let's see. Additional. So, okay, we talked about all that. So it is Earth Day. So everybody go out and enjoy planet Earth. It's what we need to be doing anyhow. Turn off that electronic device. Get outside. Enjoy some Mother Nature. After you listen to my shows, of course. So it's the 55th year of Earth Day today, and it's a great planet we live on. So it's a symbol of environmental movement, they say. So keep it up. It's been a great day to acknowledge our planet, and here's some things you can do on Earth Day. We discussed it falls on the 22nd. It's 55 years old. We celebrate it to, well, help our Earth out because, well, it's where we live until we travel to space and find another space, which will just ruin them too. I'm scrolling through this article. How can we celebrate? Well, there's plenty of things to do. Plant some flowers. Mrs. Sportcat has been out planting flowers like crazy in my front yard while I've been gone. I'm sure she may have even changed the door locks. I don't know. Volunteer to beach, workout, or clean up. Cook a meal with sustainable products. Sign a petition. Go to a composting workshop. I'm trying to encourage my grandson to start a worm farm. Is that close? Uh, plant some pollinator-friendly flowers in your backyard, balcony, or window planter. Yes, please, because our bees need that as well. Swap from single-use plastic bottles to a reusable bottle. Well, I like to drink out of a can because I think plastic is, well, not only does it get in your system, but it's ruining the world. Limit how much single-use plastic you use. Yeah, there you go. And listen to a podcast or a show about Earth. Well, here you go. That's us. Read books like Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmer about the environment. Take steps to do one thing today because you did one thing. It will actually make you feel better. And you can go meatless for a day. I've already ruined that one. I had my sausage pancakes. Let's see. Meatless Monday. Well, today's Taco Tuesday. So does anybody else do that around their house, Taco Tuesday? And have a positive outlook. Yes, positive outlook, less sense and positive energy around the world, especially in Australia. So, and here's an article that tells us, this comes to us from NPR, National Public Radio, and talking about being an earthling isn't easy these days, from flash floods to devastating earthquakes to extreme heat. We talk about that daily on our show. The effects of the climate crisis are vast and real, if you believe in that. We know individual actions can only get us so far. Solving astronomical issues of climate change is the job of governments. But we can also use our decisions to make matters better. Consuming less energy at home, composting, upcycling, using our voices and our votes. All of your vote ain't good, man, no matter which one gets in there. All these individual choices can help tip the scales towards progress. They encourage us to switch to climate-friendly appliances. I'm not sure about these. I haven't tried them. Clothes drying with Energy Star label. We've done that for years. And of course, hang your clothes up outside. Water heaters that use heat pump technology. They're 2 to 3 times more efficient because the electric water heaters can help save money on utility bills. I guess it pumps the water out of it quicker than it just running. Eat seafood responsibly. Well, I do because I don't like seafood. Well, Denise, you're a little bit north of Mrs. Sportcat in Atlanta, and I won't comment because I don't know much about plants, but she seems to plant a lot every year, and they're nice and pretty. And then next year I have to spend an absorbent amount of money to get them to look the exact same way. Should they just grow back? I don't know. I'm not a plant person. So talking about seafood, I don't eat seafood. It's not because I dislike seafood. I got sick as a child on seafood, and I haven't been a fan ever since. So is this fish pole or line caught? If the answer is yes, to which says Jennifer Kimberly, Vice President of Global Ocean Initiatives at the Monterey Bay Aquarium in California. Even at a commercial scale, a fishing boat can see what they just reeled in. If they caught a fish that's too small or a different species they didn't intend to catch, they quickly release it. Is the fish caught in the U.S.? If so, it's probably a sustainable choice. The U.S. has some of the most stringent regulations of fishing in the world. Our lake actually just opened up. We had a policy of catch and release, but the bass population has grown so much in the past few years, they're encouraging people to keep the bass if they catch them in our lake. So I noticed that just last week. So eat less meat. Well, that's always a good thing. I'm trying to be keto. Ditch fast fashion and keep your clothes for the long haul. Well, Mrs. Sportcat will tell you, I've got t-shirts from high school. So and they still work. They might be a little out of style, but they still work. So yeah, you keep your clothing until it falls off of you. That's my motto. Freeze produce you can't use right away and compost the scraps once you have. Yes, absolutely. Freeze products so you can use them later and don't waste the food, and compost. Like I said, I was serious when my grandson is fascinated. He's going on 4. He's fascinated with worms. They just enthrall him. He's at that age. So I've been trying to encourage my daughter, the little sport kitten, to get a worm farm for young Wyatt. But she says I'm crazy. I think we live right by a lake. It would be a great thing. She could even sell the Georgia red wigglers. So cut back on plastic. We talked about that. I'm already doing that. I prefer out of a can. Switch to clean energy at home or just filtered water. And I'm not picky. Just give me filtered water out of the tap. Clean energy at home and use your voice and vote. Well, everybody should use their voice to vote, but sometimes our politicians are what we call stupid. So, and that's for politicians, both sides. Chris, welcome. Chris says, good afternoon, Glen. These thoughts from the car. Shout out to the rogue hypnotist for being an influence on possible naughty show. That's right. And props to your dad's favorite bowler, Earl Anthony. There you go. See, I am spewing some things that are knowledgeable. Now we're going to get silly for a moment. Has the viral tongue Sahar, I don't know, meme crossed your feed yet? Well, it's a TikTok trend. This comes to us from the Express Tribune. And apparently the tongue Sahar meme has taken TikTok by storm in 2025, capturing the attention of users with its creepy yet intriguing content. The meme features an animated wooden character resembling a cylindrical piece of wood. Looks like a broomstick. And accompanied by the chant, tongue Sahara, the character's voiceover and surreal visuals have left many users wondering its meanings and origins. The meme roots back to a TikTok video shared by user Nos No X Asshat. I don't know. In February 25, in the initial post, the character was referred to as tongue Sahar. It's depicted as holding a wooden bat and appears when the word Sahar is said 3 times. In Ramadan, Sahar is the pre-dawn meal consumed before the fast begins, making the meme a nod to the early morning drumming traditions in Indonesia that wake people up for Sahar. I guess I can. Well, I don't know. I may have just broke the internet. So do I get 2 objects that are the same? Well, I'm crazy. I don't know what they are. There we go. And is there audio with this? Where's the audio button? There's got to be audio. Where's audio? I know there's audio here somewhere. Oh, it's up here. Duh. All right, let's try this. Okay. I have no idea what the hell they're saying. So if you could hear that, sorry, gang. I got out of control for a moment. So yeah, as the trend spreads, users on TikTok created their own versions, remixing the sound and visualizations with AI-generated characters. The meme has since evolved into full-blown internet phenomenon, with creators adding their unique twist by using the iconic chant in various formats, some even using a special tongue Sahara filter to further fuel the viral trend. Will we be able to I don't know if you could hear that, but tongue Sahara just hit the guy in the head with the bat. The the meme's appeal lies in its oddity and sense of internet-driven creativity, drawing comparison to other TikTok memes like Tim Cheese and John Pork. Meme trends that also feature seemingly nonsensical or bizarre elements. The meme started as a simple, quirky piece of content and has now become a cultural reference, with users adopting it as part of their online identity. Well, all right. So there's your TikTok trending thing for today. The tongue Sahar. It's a broomstick with a bat that wants to hit you in the head. All right. So, all right. So overnight, and well, let's see. We're in Australia, and it's in the early morning hours, and it's a good time because, well, there's asteroids or meteorological showers. And there was a green fireball that exploded overnight in the city at the annual meteor shower on the Australian's east coast. Was it a bird? Was it a plane? Was it Superman that made Brisbane's day sky come alight overnight? And it wasn't pollution or aliens either. Well, let's not get too crazy and real aliens. The phenomenon behind the green fireball viewed by the night owls are those watching the city's 24/7 weather stream live stream. We need to bookmark that. Was a meteor traveling about 40 kilometers a second and probably about the size of your fist. It looks much larger than that. While many stargazers believe the light show is part of the Lyrids meteor shower, which comes to the skies April of each year for about the first 2 weeks, experts say the meteor appeared to be from a different celestial event. But the coincidence has turned attention to the Lyrid shower, an event that has been happening in our skies for the past 2,700 years. So what is that? That is a pretty green fireball, but it doesn't be the size of your fist. It looks to be about the size of a dang Volkswagen. It looks like something out of a Marvel movie. So what is the Lyrids meteor shower? Well, it was first recorded in 687 BC by the Chinese, according to NASA. The Lyrid shower occurs when the Earth passes through the debris trail left by comet C 1861 G1. Thatcher was discovered by A.E. Thatcher on April 5th, 1861. Okay. When comets travel around the sun, they leave a dusty trail and particles behind. These particles, which can come from broken asteroids, collide with our atmosphere when the Earth, on its 365-day orbit around the sun, comes into the trail or the path. Named after the nearby constellation Lyra, Lyrids are what we see when Thatcher's space debris enters our atmosphere and disintegrates, creating fiery streaks in the sky. Meteor showers occur roughly 30 times a year, but what makes this one unique, aside from the fact that they're one of the oldest recorded ones in the world, is that they don't leave long glowing dust trails. They burn fast and bright, producing occasional brilliant flashes of a fireball, and while they aren't as beautiful as the Perseids in August, up to 100 meters an hour can sometimes be seen. Up to 100 meteors an hour can sometimes be seen. While 2025 showers so far seem to be more of a sprinkle, unlike Virginia's 1803 storm, witnesses reported up to 700 an hour. Now, if you saw that, especially at that time, you would think you were being invaded. We have about 10 to 20 meteors an hour at its peak, and it's considered unusual. This year, it's been roughly 18 meteors an hour at the shower's peak when the meteors entering our atmosphere, up to 47 kilometers per second. That's moving. So what parts of Australia will it be visible over? We'll cover this about the U.S. as well, but while active, usually April 14th through the 30th of each year, this year's peak was predicted for the 21st and 22nd. Well, hey, if you're listening in Australia right now, tune up, look to the sky. Tell us if you see something. Take a picture, send it to us. Dramatic footage captured near Stanthorpe, close to Queensland border, showed streaks of blue and green light dance across the sky. On Monday night, with reports of sightings coming from as far north as Calliope, near Gladstone, and as far south as Western Sydney. Those in Bundaberg and Queensland and Glen's Inn and regional were treated to some of the clearest displays of the peak, though the showers are expected to continue into the 26th. So here's the key to all my late night Australian listeners. The best time to see it is right after moonset and right before dawn. And well, I'm your overnight guy, so look up. You may see something in the air. Like I said, take a picture, send it to me. I'd love to see it. Let's see. So the first fireball appeared Monday night at about 7:30. That was the big bright green one we talked about. Meanwhile, the best time to see meteors tonight from Australia is midnight to 6 a.m. Welcome to Radio X Australia. This is our meteor show. So please, if you're in Australia and you're listening on Radio X, look to the sky. If you see something, let us know. Send us a message. Send us pictures. We'd love to hear it. No special equipment is need to see the Lyrids, just the naked eye. Experienced astronomy enthusiasts, however, know there are tricks to the trade. Find an area away from the city and city lights. About 30 minutes at least 30 minutes looking at the sky beforehand to let your eyes adjust. That's important. And this means putting away your phone. Keep me in your ears. allow me to tickle your ears during the meteor storm. The best way to absorb the event is to lie flat on your back. This is according to NASA. Looking up with your feet facing east, the point meteor showers usually appear to emanate from is known as the radiant, though they can appear from any part of the night sky. In this case, it would be safe to look for the Lyrid's radiant, which is the constellation Lyra. It's identifiable by the blue-white star Vega, the fifth brightest star in the night sky. If you miss out, it's still got a couple days, so remember, I'll be here with you overnight. So let me know if you see something. I'd love to know. You can send pictures. I give my email address. It's also in the show description, but it's sportcat@protonmail.com. All right, so I'm going to go to an AP article so that, well, we want to talk about this, but we want to also let our American listeners on Radio X and Australia and Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio, as well as on YouTube, that where they can go. So stargazers in the past have caught up to 100 an hour, but we know this is not going to be as busy. But tonight's or this morning's peak expected to see around 6 an hour in a planetarium program, according to the at the Bell Museum in St. Paul, Minnesota. And the waning crescent moon will be at 40%, meaning decent levels of visibility under clean, clear, dark skies. Viewing lasts until April 26th. So we talked about what it was, and let's see, the best time to view it is in the pre-dawn hours or right after dark. Competing sources of light. Well, I'm in East Tennessee, so luckily there's not as much light pollution. So look to the skies, look towards the east, and hopefully you will see it. All right, we've talked about this in the past. Puerto Rico, comes to us from the AP. Puerto Rico wants the government to answer why the energy companies keep having island-wide blackouts. Seems like a reasonable request. Didn't we just say that in order to save the planet, you ask your government? Well, Puerto Rico has to do something here. Same on Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's governor on Monday urged people to moderate their energy consumption, as she warned that the island has no additional power generation capability to fall back on. This is days after the massive blackout that pretty much took out the whole U.S. territory. Governor Jennifer Gonzalez said that officials are waiting on explanation from Luma Energy, a private company that oversees transmission and distribution of power in Puerto Rico, about what caused the island-wide outage on April 16th. It was aliens. It affected 1.4 million customers and left more than 500,000 without water. The governor announced that 2 subcommittees had been created. Oh, there's one way to help. Government gets other people from the government to come in to help the island's so-called energy czar to audit Luma's contract, and another to identify potential companies to replace Luma if its contract is terminated. I think that would probably be the worst. If you terminate it, then you got to get all new stuff coming in. There have been multiple incidents, she said, when asked about the blackout was reason enough to cancel Luma's contract, something she pledged to do while campaigning for governor. The operator sold itself as a, quote, expert. That perception of expertise has proven to be false. Luma said in a statement late on Monday, last night, to the AP that it was focused on the grid's reconstruction, fulfilling the responsibility to establish energy in our contract. The company said it has an extensive technical and operational experiences, including personnel with experience in the aviation industry, as well as employees from the former operator, referring to the Puerto Rico Electric Power Company. Wasn't that a Sesame Street show? Luma has 5 days to explain why the transmission lines failed and provide details about whether it complied with the required flyovers of transmission lines to ensure they remain free of tree branches and other obstacles. A preliminary report from Luma released Friday found that the transmission line apparently failed because of overgrown vegetation. The fact that this happened indicates that either the patrols didn't take place or that the line inspector didn't detect it. That trees didn't grow there overnight, said Jose Colon, Puerto Rico's so-called energy czar and former executive director of the island's electric power authority. He said protective equipment that was supposed to detect and isolate the failures also failed, which caused the transmission system to collapse in a cascade event that was irreversible. The important thing is now that this doesn't happen again, he said. Oh, yeah, we want to keep that from happening because it had to suck. Gonzalez said Puerto Rico's government has launched its own investigation in the blackout to compare it to Luma's report and determine for discrepancies. Luma said it was continuing through investigation into the blackout and monitors transmission and distribution lines in accordance with the highest industry standards. We remain committed to transparency. Okay, that's how you know they're lying. And we'll continue to inform our customers and the public as soon as we have confirmed the information. Meanwhile, Gonzalez stressed that the Trump administration has been in communication with her since the power outage occurred, adding that the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency authorized the extended use of industrial generators. On Monday, some 20,000 customers remained without power, although officials said there were other issues to blame. Our system is fragile, Gonzalez said. Earlier on Monday, she and Cologne and other officials met behind closed doors to review their preliminary findings, recommend steps to talk about ongoing search for a company that can provide 800 megawatts in additional power generation in the upcoming month. After a blackout on New Year's Eve, yeah, we talked about that, and one more on April 15th, was the second such massive outage to hit Puerto Rico in less than 4 months. Puerto Rico has struggled with chronic outages since September of 2017, when Hurricane Maria hit the island as a powerful Cat 4 hurricane, raising the power grid that crews are still struggling to rebuild. The grid had already been deteriorating following decades of lack of maintenance and investment under the state's electric power authority, which is now struggling to restructure and is more than $9 billion with a B dollars in debt. So Puerto Rico, hang tight, we're with you. All right, so we'll jump back to an Australian story because I found this one kind of funny. Well, not funny, but from the Daily Mail, they say that the American chain for, and I'm going to quote the Daily Mail, life-changing buffalo wings is coming to Australia. It's a dream come true. Chris said, hold on a minute. Chris said, I think I would really get along with that smart ass guy that said trees don't grow overnight. Absolutely. Yeah. It seems like it's something I would say. Yeah. How did that just happen? Okay. So a beloved American chicken chain is set to make its long-awaited Australian debut, and the internet is already losing its mind. Locals in Sydney's King Crossing were quick to spot a glowing green sign that read "Flavor landing soon in Wings Cross." Wings Cross, a clever nod to the Texas-born brand's famous motto, and as a hint to the first Aussie outpost. Wingstop, known across the U.S. for its saucy chicken wings, tenders, and sandwiches, is opening its first Australian location at 111 Darlington Road, Potts Point, with trading hours from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Hey, you can get wings while you're on my show, listening to me. While no official opening date has been revealed, the store's arrival has already been confirmed through the newly launched at Wingstop AU Instagram and TikTok accounts. Both bios read "Flavors landing soon," with links to apply for jobs and visit the company's website. The famous food chain is known for its 12 distinct flavors, from classic lemon pepper and garlic parmesan to fiery atomic and my favorite, mango habanero. Diehard fans swear by the ranch sauce, and many are begging the Australian franchise to stick to the original recipe. The company started in Garland, Texas in 1994 and has over 1,400 locations worldwide. So I really hope that our Australian friends can enjoy a little bit of American culture with some buffalo wings. And that is a great chain. Do y'all have Hooters over there? I need to look and see if there's any Hooters in Australia. So, all right. So one story we covered yesterday, but we're going to kind of go over it again because, well, I don't know. This story still seems a bit fishy to me. And this comes to us from our friends at Zero Hedge. Deficient handbag security, DHS, Department of Homeland Security Secretary, Noam's purse with $3,000 and a badge and her identity were all stolen at a DC eatery. An Easter dinner out with family turned into a big embarrassment for Kristi Noam and the Secret Service as a thief stole the Department of Homeland Security's chief handbag and a big stack of cash and various other sensitive items it contained. Monday's Easter egg roll at the White House, Noam confirmed the theft but told NBC News, "I don't think I can comment on it yet until it's resolved," and it's not resolved yet. The crime unfolded Sunday night as Noam was eating with her extended family at the Darden restaurant-owned Capital Burger on 7th Street Northwest in Washington. When it was over, Noam was without her large Gucci shoulder bag, and some of which of those bags sell for $4,400, a $600 Louis Vuitton Clemens purse, and valuable contents, including $3,000 in cash, her DHS badge, passport, driver's license, credit card, blank checks, medicine, and apartment keys. Her entire family was in town, including her children and grandkids, DHS told the New York Times via email. She was using the cash withdrawal to treat her family to dinner activities and Easter gifts. Well, $3,000 doesn't go as far as it used to. So, yeah. So $3,000. A law enforcement source told the Post a review of security camera footage captured a white man in an N95 mask with dark pants, a fur type collar and ball cap. Fur type, pulling off the crime. Supposedly at around 7:55, he entered the Capitol Burger and headed up a few stairs to the area where Noam was dining. After sitting near her, he maneuvered his chair close to hers and surreptitiously used his foot to nudge her handbag towards him. A few minutes later, he picked it up, tucked it inside his jacket, which had a furry collar, and walked out the door and down the street. Noam had just finished shuttling the tab when she felt something brush against her leg. At that moment, she thought it was a grandchild, she told sources. In addition to embarrassing the woman responsible for securing the homeland, the theft is a latest in a long-running series of failures of the Secret Service, which is itself a DHS agency. While her detail is considerably smaller than that of the president or vice president, Noam is at least nominally under the round-clock Secret Service protection. At least 2 agents in street clothes were sitting at the Capitol Burger bar, somewhere between the front doors and Noam's table, according to witnesses to NBC, adding that the eatery wasn't particularly crowded when the incident occurred. So, former Secret Service agent Don Milichek said protective details are often asked to keep lower profile at personal events versus official ones. They tend to give those people a lot more room, especially in social settings, he told the Post. They're not going to stand over while she has a family Easter dinner with her family, however true that may be when you consider how close he was to the seat himself. Noam is clearly fortunate this guy was apparently just a thief and not an armed, violent leftist outraged over Noam's role in turning the tide against illegal immigration. There you go, Chris. It's not the picture you're hoping for. So the Secret Service is now investigating the theft and presumably itself too, given the nature of the victim. The agency isn't assuming that it was necessarily a garden variety purse grab. Investigators want to know if the thief knew the significance of his victim. Speaking of her high profile, Noam has a reputation as the Trump cabinet's foremost publicity seeker. Stringing together a dense portfolio of photo ops. All right, Chris, I'll click on that for you. Depicting her donning a wide variety of, and this is their words, not mine, tight-fitting uniforms and outfit, so much so that she's earned the nickname Cosplay Christie in Ice Barbie. I hadn't heard that. However, making headlines by failing to secure her own overpriced handbag, $3,000 in cash, DHS access badge isn't the kind of buzz she's looking for. So, yeah, I heard them saying that. How did they say it? If the DHS can't protect the secretary, how can they protect the border? Well, why weren't they worried about this under a previous administration when there was a bumbling old man that mumbled and smelled little girls' hairs at the Easter rolls? So I said that out loud, didn't I? So I mean, why why were they so concerned about it then? So I'm just curious. So hey, there we go. Late night Barbie. Interesting. Now I've never seen this one. Now I may have to screenshot save this one. Firefighter Barbie. There's Christy Nome. She's with the U.S. Coast Guard doing firefighter training. All right, so this is how you know it's a photo op. Hold on a minute. See this guy's hat right here? Although it does have some smoke coloring to it, it's a white shield. And the front of the helmet is the leather piece is called the shield. It says Assistant Chief, U.S. Coast Guard Fire and Rescue, Kodiak, Alaska. All right, so here's how you know it's a photo op. If you ever see an assistant chief on a hose, he's either trying to save somebody's ass in a hurry or it's a photo op. Because trust me, that man hasn't touched a hose in probably 10 years. So there, I threw you under the bus, Assistant Chief in Kodiak. Oh, Assault Force Barbie. That's pretty badass, I got to admit. She's got a helmet on with a camera and she's wearing the Coast Guard water vest and she's in camo and jeans. That's not water camo. Why are they not wearing water camo? You're welcome, Chris. And Assault Force Barbie. I don't know what kind of gun that is, but that looks, is that two guns? She's got two guns. So I'm not going to argue with that in those skinny jeans, Chris. Is she got two? Is she got a rifle and a pistol? How do you shoot two at once? Good Lord. So Pilot Barbie. Well, there you go. I got to say in this picture, she does look a little bit scared. I don't know that I'd want her as my pilot. And one of my favorite, Cowgirl Barbie. Why are we doing this? Why are we, for the folks on Radio X in Australia and Yerg's Radio, we're looking at pictures of Barbie doll. This is Border Barbie. She's on the Border Patrol. I'm just having fun with this. Oh, Space Hero Barbie. I didn't know that we had a Space Hero Barbie. Interesting. All right. Well, I didn't know that. Yesterday I went and rescued. Oh my God. Okay. I don't know if this is a real photo op or if this is a meme, but it's great. From Hoodlum on X. Yesterday I went and rescued the astronauts that Sleepy Joe left stranded in space for political purposes. Ice Barbie Christy Nome. That's great. Please, everybody come over, like, follow, share, and subscribe. I don't care what party you are. I'm going to make fun of that. That right there is funny. I don't care who you are. So, oh, that's got to be. I need a bigger picture of that. That's got to be. That's probably one of my favorites now. So they may have taken it off of Twitter or X. Her in an astronaut suit. It's not form-fitting or doesn't necessarily give her a better look, but it is certainly funny. All right, I'm not gonna wait a minute. I'm not gonna wait on it to draw all day, but I was hoping to get a bigger picture of that because that's funny. I don't care who you are. I know it's photoshopped or AI with her in an astronaut suit, but that shit's funny right there. I don't care who you are. If it's not going to draw, we'll move on. I'll have to find it later, Chris. You can find it and send it to me. Personally, I'm going to go hunt for firefighter Barbie pictures. And going back to the pilot one, Chris, yes, she does look absolutely terrified, but maybe she can fly better than some of these other pilots. But I will tell you something. When I was a flight paramedic, probably illegally, I was given the stick, the yoke, the whatever, the steering wheel to the craft. And we were on a Lear 25 or 35. And he gave me control of it and said, there, it's your plane, fly. Let me tell you, if you so much as sneeze and jerk that thing, holy cow, that's you can certainly maneuver quickly because there's no friction like tires against, the ground, and you can move a plane really quickly. So I was quite terrified after I nearly inverted us. All right, so we'll go to a funny cat story. How about that? This comes to us from Newsweek, and I think there's something to this one. Owner baffled as she comes home to discover her cat has turned green, and we're talking about the feline kind of cat. A pet owner sparked confusion online after revealing her cat had turned a decidedly unusual shade of green. Claire, a 27-year-old woman from Oregon, took to the talk to reveal what had happened to her four-legged feline companion Tootie. In a video posted on the talk, the screen caption says, "Got home and my kitty is green," on the clip, which can be watched on the talk. She can be heard saying, "Tootie, why are you green?" The footage was posted online by Claire alongside a comment that reads, "Just another day in my life. What did he get into?" Well, Newsweek has reached out to Claire. At the time of the writing, the video has been watched 660,000 times. All those people need to come over to the Paranormal Guys on YouTube, like, follow, share, and subscribe, with viewers taking the comment section accompanying the video to offer their own theories as to how Tootie ended up with this unusual fur coloring. And apparently, it's not the first time a cat's unusual coloring has captivated the internet. Who knew? Does anyone have a new pair of jeans in the house? Yes, I'm aging myself by calling them blue jeans, one user wrote. It could be grass dye, as you live next to a golf course, mini golf course, or a large grassy area. I hope they weren't spying on her and found out. A third offered the theory sidewalk chalk, maybe rolled into a kiddo's sidewalk art walk. Responding to the comments on video, Claire appeared to confirm the latter of those three theories was correct, and that Tootie had indeed rolled in green chalk. In truth, that's possibly the best scenario because, well, potential dangers of cats dyeing the cat's hair could be bad. All right, drinking green beer. Hey, I think I saw that somewhere, Chris, or Denise. I'm sorry, Kathy Perry astronaut doll. Katy Perry astronaut doll. And veterinarians explain that even simple products such as hair dyes contain chemicals that can be dangerous to cats. And cats have an altered liver metabolism and don't break down certain drugs or chemicals. And because of the cat's unique metabolism, even common household items such as laundry detergent, and that bleach was a killer, liquid potpourri, so is antifreeze, and other chemicals can be corrosive and even poisonous. So cat-friendly dye products are available. Why do you need cat-friendly dye? I don't know. For any product you use on your cat, make sure it isn't sugar-free and doesn't contain xylitol, she said. Also know that just because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe for your kitty. So make sure that it isn't sugar-free and doesn't contain xylitol. Okay. So there you go. If you want to dye your kitty, please don't dye your kitty. But her kitty apparently just rolled in chalk. But it took the internet by storm. So, okay, so we're gonna tread deeply into conspiracy theory about the Pope and his death. So there's several going around, and I just picked two of the day. We probably will have many more over the next many days that are really news slow because of the Pope. So apparently the Pope's death has been blamed on Trisha Paytas by fans who believe her pregnancies are cursed after the YouTube star announced she's expecting her third child. Pope Francis passed away at the age of 88, and some reporting fingers at an internet celebrity for his death. The Pope, who led the Catholic Church for a dozen years, died the day following Easter Sunday. He was last seen in a public holiday blessing thousands gathered at St. Peter's Square in the Vatican. And He has been recuperating from a bout of pneumonia that affected both lungs earlier this year, which he was in the hospital for several weeks. Online conspiracy theories are suggesting internet star Trisha Paytas' pregnancy might be connected to the Pope's death. The American media personality is expecting her third child, whose gender is yet to be revealed. I'm going to get to that one, Chris. I'm going to get to that one. Don't just wait. Fans on X, previously known as Twitter, have noticed a peculiar pattern whenever Trisha is pregnant, a prominent figure passes away. For instance, when one of her children was born on the same day Queen Elizabeth II died, September 2nd, 2022, sparking a theory about her baby being the reincarnation of the Queen from a Mirror U.S. report. With the recent news of Pope Francis passing, Trisha, the often controversial internet personality and conspiracy theorist enthusiast, has not overlooked the bizarre patterns emerging around her pregnancies. On social media, the reactions blend shock and humor. One individual remarks, "Trisha being pregnant every time a figure of importance dies is actually insane." Someone else commented in jest, You're laughing. Pope Francis is about to be reincarnated as Trisha's baby, and you're laughing." A different user questions, is it any coincidence that Trisha's pregnancy, again, and the Pope dies, she's collecting world leaders? Another pointed out, why does something historic happen every time Trisha is pregnant? Speculation is rife among fans who are now convinced Trisha will soon be sharing news of her third pregnancy. The YouTube sensation is currently touring. I just want a Vegas show. Come on, guys. She's got a whole tour, but I'm not pregnant by the Pope. So, see, she has a Vegas show right there. She's going to be Atlanta. I won't go see her. She's got a Vegas show. Yeah. So, all right. So that's one theory on the pontiff's death. And, well, here we go. This one comes to us from the Milwaukee Independent. J.D. Vance became the subject of his own conspiracy mythology hours after meeting the ailing Pope. Let's take a close look at his hands there. Is there anything funny about his hands? J.D. Vance built his political career on suspicion, spectacle, and spin. He rose through the MAGA ranks not by offering solutions, but by inflaming distrust of the press, of the government, of elections, of immigrants, and of anyone not already in his corner. And now, in a twist that feels ripped from the very fever dreams that he has helped propagate, he finds himself the center of another conspiracy theory. It's one that he did not start, but one that he has earned. Pope Francis died, as we know, April 21st of 2025. He'd been ill for many months. His death was unexpected. What was unexpected was just hours earlier, the pontiff met with the vice president inside the Vatican. J.D. Vance wrote, "I learned of the passing of Pope Francis. My heart goes out to the millions of Christians all over the world who loved him. I was happy to see him yesterday, though he was obviously very ill." It was a private, hastily arranged Easter Sunday visits, mere minutes long after Pope had previously refused to meet with the vice president in the days leading up to the holiday. The timing, the symbolism, and the secrecy, those elements were the raw materials from which conspiracies are made, and one that, well, no one better than J.D. Vance could step in for. Vance says, long trafficked and unprovable claims, from stolen elections to deep state plots to cultural rot engineered by the elites. He co-opted populist anxiety, infused it with paranoia, reaping political power from the chaos it created. His brand depends on the public's willingness to believe that truth is optional, that coincidence is never accidental, and enemies are always conspiring. Over time, these narratives have hardened into something bigger, like conspiracy mythology, complete with its own villains, rituals, and rules. And now the spotlight has returned home. The Pope meets Vance, the Pope dies, and online, well, the reaction writes itself. These are quotes from X. J.D. Vance finished off the Pope. And I want to make this perfectly clear to anyone in the Secret Service, aside from Jurgs, that is listening. I am merely reading an article from the Milwaukee Independent. Don't at me. Don't knock on my mom's door. I'm in the attic, though, if you're looking for me. Can the U.S. please send J.D. Vance to meet Putin and Kim? America's most advanced bioweapon. I like that one. Literally everything J.D. Vance and his blanket administration touches dies. J.D. Vance killed Pope Francis. J.D. poisoned the Pope. Why do you think he was so insistent upon seeing him? Oh, well, we got Brenda, the queen of conspiracies. Brenda, please tell me, did J.D. Vance kill the Pope? This conspiracy is just evidence. Everything they touch turns to crap. These are not jokes. These are signals how conspiracy culture breathes through insinuation, repetition, and proximity. Vance most certainly did not poison the Pope, but to me, of the same people who once believed Democrats ran the pedophile ring in a DC pizza shop, the timing is too perfect. And Vance, the chaos candidate, is now at the center of his own narrative storm. The rebuke that came first, the Pope refused to meet with Vance in the days before Easter was not settled. Francis had been long critical of Trump-Vance's anti-immigration nationalism, calling such politics as a sin against God. In previous addresses, Vance, who helped craft the Trump's regime, expanded deportation policies, is the face of the very ideology the Vatican is warned against. According to reports, the Vatican was uneasy about granting Vance a platform so close to the Holy Week, particularly given the Trump regime's threats of mass removals and ICE raids against migrant families. The fact that a meeting happened at all briefly and in private raises more questions than answers. Who initiated the final Easter meeting compromise? Why did the Vatican change its mind? What was the Pope's condition when he met with Vance? No official transcript was released. Hours later, the Pope was dead, and Vance, the architect of doubt, found himself at the center of it. Oh, Brenda says no, he didn't do it. So there you go. You've heard it here first on my show. And Denise says, I wonder if there's going to be another Pope. Well, there's a conspiracy about that as well. So let's see. There is no evidence, absolutely none, that Vance's meeting had anything to do with the Pope's death, but that has never been a barrier to conspiracy culture. In fact, the absence is often the fuel. Within hours of the Pope's passing, hashtags began circulating on social media and Reddit. Telegram, Reddit, with theories that are, spiritually, others are politically, and a few pretty much deranged, but all pointed the same direction. Suspicion and suggestion was something was being hid. And why not? This is the system Vance helped create when he cast doubt on the COVID vaccines, on mail-in ballots, legitimacy of 2020's results, on the media, on the judiciary. He trained a movement to expect manipulation. He now faces the mirror. The same machinery that made him vice president is chewing through him like gristle. Because even if nothing credible implicates Vance directly, this situation is perfectly designed for conspiratorial narratives. Spiritual warfare or judgment narratives. In progressive Catholic circles, some will interpret post-Francis's death so soon after meeting Vance as divine disapproval, a sign of spiritual protest. In this framing, the Pope's body gave out only after being forced to stand in the presence of a man whose administration mocks the church's mission to defend the poor and displaced. He didn't have his sword. Some may even suggest that Francis's passing served as a warning that the church is entering a darker age, one more aligned with authoritarianism than with grace. Meanwhile, the far-right traditional factions within the Catholics will spin the opposite side. This Pope Francis represented the weakness and hearsay. His meeting with Vance, even briefly, could be portrayed as symbolic repentance. His death then becomes completion, a final concession to strength before passing the mantle of moral authority to harder hands. Vance is a recast, not a suspect, but as kind of a purifier. Many people are claiming there were health cover-ups. Well, I don't doubt that, because if you remember, once he opened those portals, he didn't look too well. And theories are coming out of the darker corners of the internet, like the QAnon, that maybe he was psychologically or somehow poisoned, and that the Pope was frail and aged, and it gave him something so grave it shocked his system. But lunacy sells. The Cold War taught us anything authoritarian regimes delivered the threat so severe that it induced heart attacks, and the trope being repurposed for online warfare. Already a few posts as a classified exchange or sealed envelope that Vance supposedly delivered. No evidence, no logic, just theatrics. Well, symbol and timing. I read somewhere that there was something about the date was the exact date that Rome was founded in time or something like that. I don't remember. I've read so many of these. Easter Sunday, a Trump administration emissary, a secret Vatican meeting, and a death just hours later. These details alone animate numerology boards, occult themed channels, and religiously conspiracious pages. And, well, it's all in code. Consequences of a poisoned narrative. So, yeah, there's quite a few of them out there. So, yeah. And there is I'm not going to go into this one because I'm running short on time because I've laughed too much. But we might cover this one later. But there is a dark prophecy saying that he could be the last pope and that it's a sign of the apocalypse. And we're not going to cover, we're running out of time. Well, we might come back to this, but the conspiracy theorists are claiming that the door on the Blue Origin ship was fake, and there's pictures to prove it. So you can go check that story out on the Daily Mail. I might cover that tomorrow, but I did want to find a way somehow of getting to this. Doctors find a genius way to remove a kid's flashing toy from a man's bum. Well, that has been around for years. Yes, there's been all kinds of, somehow made it look as if Pope's face was retaining 15 gallons of water. Yes. And Chris says, those are the same people who said timing meant nothing when the mainstream media family decided to broadcast a Trump rally in Butler. It was always different when it's the other side. Yeah, I won't argue with you there. So it was a secret meeting. Somehow a man managed to get a large flashing kid's toy stuck in his bum, forcing hospital doctors to come up with a genius plan to finally get the foreign body out for good. And I'm only covering this because, well, I'm a paramedic and I think this is an important story and you shouldn't have things in your bum. A man was left thanking his doctors that they successfully removed a flashing kid's toy from inside his anus. I'm quoting from the Mirror here. He went to the hospital complaining of severe pain in his backside and admitted that a, quote, foreign body was stuck up there. Later, he revealed it to be a 6.5 centimeter ball. He must have been playing catch naked. The ball was transparent sphere with two carved faces on either side. It contained a smaller ball bearing and a red liquid. An anal digital examination revealed the ball was stuck in the man's rectum about 7 centimeters away from his anus. The unnamed man, who was 62, I said anus and she barks. Don't at me. The unnamed man, who was 62, was given a minor colonoscopy. How much room does he have back there? Which found a higher than normal blood flow in the area, as well as a swelling of the mucous membrane. And there's a picture of the foreign ball. The foreign item. Doctors also found some bleeding inside the rectum, you think, where the ball was rubbing the flesh. To get the ball out, surgeons came up with an ingenious plan to make their lives as easy as possible. They placed him under a general anesthetic. Now, that's correct, Chris. She doesn't appreciate fires or butt talk. So, oh, she was just calling you an ass, Glen. I'm an ass in more than one way. So they placed this man under a general anesthetic. Now, I just want to be perfectly clear here. I would want to be knocked the hell out. And then these are key words. Used a scalpel near his anus to pierce the elastic ball. There's abdominal CT of it. I'll close that up. The abdominal CT where you can see the object. All the liquid inside of the ball was drained out while the ball's overall size was reduced as air rushed out. was then successfully removed using forceps and a foreign body clamp through the man's rectum. In the aftermath of the procedure, another colonoscopy showed minor erosive bleeding, but the active bleeding had completely stopped. There was also no perforation to either the anus or the intestine. The removal of the children's flashing ball was claimed as a successful example of a minimally invasive procedure. It's sadly not the first time someone has appeared at A&E, I'm assuming it's a hospital, after getting an object stuck inside them. Radiologists previously revealed a series of x-rays showing some of the most embarrassing they've seen. So, deodorant cans, lighter fluid bottles, coffee jars, and even a whole orange have been found inside a, bum. 40-year-old man even claimed he slipped directly onto a pestle while, I don't know what a pestle is, while cooking Malaysian food. There was an egg, an egg, an aubergine, I don't know what that is, an axe handle, good Lord, a sports drink bottle, and a homemade object from an empty tube of Berocca tablets with a spray nozzle on the end. Got so many questions. Doctors on a radiopathic website wrote the vast majority of such items are inserted via the anus to create sexual misadventure, are the result of a sexual misadventure. There you go, Brenda. Well, Denise, if you can find for me the Washington Post article where it has the gerbil's name or hamster's name as Armageddon, please forward it to me. Chris says my sister is an ER nurse and had a guy come in with a full can of soda up his bum. All right. People need God the Father. I can't believe people is what Brenda says. Brenda, I've been on the streets too long. I took a gentleman who had been moving, like physically moving from one house to another, and fell on his couch leg, and it was stuck inside of his bum. So there you go. There you go. I got that out of the way. So we'll get to our regularly covered stuff now after we have a little bum talk. But we'll get back to this. Michelle Obama reveals a major medical procedure on Barack while he was in office. So we'll talk about that one. Maybe tomorrow we'll get to that one. I think the headline is a little bit grabbing. I don't think it's as major as they make it sound. So, oh, mercy. All right. So for those of you that are new here, we do a daily briefing similar to what the president gets, but we don't get the secret squirrel stuff. Brenda, you never know. We're on a rock and roll radio station overnight. We got to have a little freedom. We tell too much crazy stuff. So, all right. So this is FEMA's daily operations briefing. It's dated today, Tuesday, April 22nd at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Currently, they have no significant incidents ongoing. They are monitoring severe weather in the southern central plains, ravine flooding in lower Ohio Valley to lower Mississippi. There are no new declaration activities, and there are no events they are monitoring. The forecast, we've talked about this for a couple days. There is a chance for some significant weather in pretty much southwest Texas, Oklahoma, up into Kansas, but the majority of it is going to be rainfall extending from Texas to the Chesapeake and, in the higher elevations from Montana down to Idaho over to Nebraska, with rain and a mixed bag of nuts from there to New England, where, in Vermont, it may snow again up in Maine and higher elevations. Tomorrow, no real relief. We're going to get rain pretty much through, east of the Mississippi and west of the Mississippi, almost to California, but the higher elevations are going to see the snowfall, where South Texas, we could see some severe weather. And then on Thursday, that intensifies over Oklahoma, where we could see some even worse weather. So we want to keep our eyes on that. And pretty much the entire country on Thursday will see some sort of precipitation. Denise, if you found it, please inbox it to me. I don't know that I guess I could read that on the air. That is a great story. So there's a slight chance from the Texas-Mexican border up into Kansas of some, not severe thunderstorms, but some thunderstorms. There doesn't appear to be a huge tornadic risk today. I don't think we're at a high torcom. Well, Brenda says she needs a boat for inside her house. Yes, Brenda, Texas is going to get rain for the next 3 days in some fashion or form, whether it's raining and just regular storms or a heavy thunderstorm. We have the North Carolina wildfire. One of them finally is contained. All right. And as we know, they're still battling some of the fires in the Carolinas, North Carolina specifically, and we're dealing with flooding, Kentucky, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, down into Alabama, Louisiana, and of course, Texas. We're still repopulating people in other parts of the country, so they're working on that. And that's pretty much your daily FEMA. Let's see here. Our commander-in-chief, what is he doing today? Well, President Trump, we know that every day at 9 a.m. there's an in-pool call time. In other words, if you want to get a picture, you better be in there at 9 a.m. At 1 o'clock, about an hour and a half ago, they held a press briefing in the James Brady press briefing room, and apparently it was on camera. And then at 4 o'clock, the president participates in a swearing-in ceremony for the chairman of Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. That is in the Oval Office and will be closed to the media. That's at 4 o'clock, the last thing on his calendar for today. Let's see. They changed yesterday, 8:30 a.m., Carolyn Levitt gaggles with reporters on the sticks outside the White House. Okay. They changed it. That wasn't on there yesterday. And one of my friends, you can find him over on YouTube as Penguin6. He is a pool reporter. He's an ex-paramedic, and he does a great job of covering and showing you what goes on inside the Beltway, and specifically what goes on in the White House in Washington, D.C. Okay, for those of you on Radio X and Yerg's Radio, we're going to take a look here at the NOAA satellite, our big, beautiful blue globe. You see that it's, well, there's a lot of cloud cover in the northeast, and extending from Texas all the way up into Chesapeake, while west of Mississippi is just some scattered clouds, unless you're north of that. Take a look down under. In Australia, it looks like it's going to be a cloudy day in Australia. On the southwest section, you're kind of clear, but deep south, you can expect some heavy clouding all the way to the east side, and, well, pretty much the entire north of the continent is going to be cloudy. Let's see. Chris says his schedule today is planning with VP to coordinate taking out the future pontiff. Shouldn't they have a list? And Brenda, answer me this. On the NOAA satellite, the world in real time, why is there a black hole at the bottom of the planet where Antarctica is? Shouldn't we see the cloud cover down there? I'm asking for a friend. So I'll ask Brenda, my main conspiracy theorist. She keeps me. Actually, Brenda, you haven't talked to me lately. I'm not up on the conspiracies. So we'll hop over to the National Weather Service and take a look at the radar. That was what I meant to do. And see what we got. Well, while we're up here, we'll just look at Alaska and see all these warnings off the coast of the southern shores down into the islands over on even the far west coast of Alaska. And look down in the continental lower 48. It's also down the gale warnings and storm warnings along the west coast. Those are probably for rough surf and gale warnings and stuff like that. And up in Montana, well, we'll take a look in a little bit on our weather warnings. But currently, we see that the Mississippi is still at its peak, but the bulk of the storm is in the Alabama-Mississippi line, extending over through Atlanta, just below Knoxville. It's right about the peak of the Appalachians now, extending almost out through Richmond and the Chesapeake. And if we look up top here in Maine, we can see they have some snow and cloudy conditions, but most of it appears to be out above Halifax. So she isn't a viewer long enough. She doesn't come over to my shows like she used to. She doesn't understand. We'll get to it, Chris. We'll get to it. You can explain it in a second. So we'll hit the National Weather Service briefing to make sure there's nothing different than we just talked about. And in the forecast map, pretty much as we explained today, in southwest Texas, southwest Texas, all the way extending up into Oklahoma and Kansas, that risk of pretty some severe thunderstorms. It's going to be high from the Gulf Coast all the way up through the deep south out to the Chesapeake Bay. We could expect some soggy conditions, and pretty much west of the Mississippi, northward, you're going to get some kind of precipitation. And if you're any higher elevations further west, you can get some of that white fluffy dander. And tomorrow, the chance of severe storms still continues in Texas, and it's pretty much on the west coast of Texas. Yes, I said coast. And well, anything pretty much east of the Mississippi is going to be a rain soaky day. To the west of the Mississippi, you may have a mixed bag of precipitation in the higher elevations, but the middle part of the country, we'll get some type of soggy precipitation. Now, the day we want to keep in mind is Thursday, because right now they're saying that Kansas and Oklahoma, because of the low coming up off of the Pacific outside of Mexico, is going to be pushing this front, which is going to be getting energy from the Gulf of America. And, well, where it meets right over Kansas and Oklahoma, there could be some significant weather. So keep an eye on that. We want to make sure everybody is weather aware. I encourage everyone to have a weather radio. Brenda says it's a good thing I know how to swim. Well, I've got questions, Brenda. So yeah, I want everybody to have a weather radio. You should have a flashlight nearby and some type of pocket tool in case you find yourself stranded. So you should have those items with you or within arm's reach at all times. And yes, I will do an unboxing when I get my new flashlight so that everybody can see it. We'll check out our weather down under real quick so that we don't feel like our Australian friends are left out. We've got some cloudy conditions pretty much over the central Australia region, but down on the south coast, it's a little bit cloudy. Let's pick up the radar. And, well, it looks like pretty much along the Gold Coast, you're going to see some rain. Doesn't look like it's going to be a lot. And over on the Perth coast, that cyclone is still kind of skirting up to the north of Darwin. Let's see how much precipitation. Doesn't look like any significant precipitation except for maybe along the coastline in Sydney and Canberra. So that's good news. And that tropical cyclone is going to continue on its path west, northwest, and get out of your hair and go out into the Indian Ocean. Look at wind real quickly, but we'll look at it a little more precisely. It doesn't look like you're going to have a very windy day, except for maybe on that northwest coast where the cyclone is spinning out to sea. And also on the entire west coast is going to look like it's a little windy. Maybe some down in New South Wales as well, but it'll get better. Temperatures today, well, currently we're using Fahrenheit. It's 77 in Darwin, 83 in Broome, 81 in Port Hedland, 76 in Carve, 71 in Perth, 56 in Adelaide, Melbourne 58, Canberra 58, Sydney 68, Brisbane 57, and on the Queensland coast it's in the 70s. All right, but what does it feel like? How does it make you feel? Well, if you're on the northwest coast of Western Australia, well, you feel pretty dang hot. So try and stay comfortable. Center of the country is going to be pretty cool and calm in the 50s. On the right coast, the east coast, it's going to be in the 60s and 70s. So not too bad. So, all right, let's move along here. Brenda should get an outboard motor for her chair. That's a good idea. Chris agrees. And Brenda says that it's currently 72 in Long Island. Let's check that. Because I think right here in Knox Vegas, well, it's 71 in Atlanta, 66 in Knoxville. Yes, and well, up in Washington, D.C., it's 77, Philly, 76, New York City, 76, and Boston is 65. Up in Burlington, where my son is, it's 55. And they're not out of the woods yet for snow. We see a little cold front extending down over the top of the Appalachians, where we'll see here in just a few minutes is where that storm's located. In the heartland of the country, coming up from Montgomery, 79, 78 in Mobile, Nashville, 73, Louisville, 68, Fort Wayne, Indiana, 61. Going to the west of the Mississippi, we look over here at Shreveport, and it's 85, Little Rock, 76. Then we jump up to Des Moines, 67, Minneapolis, 62, and it gets cooler there for Grand Forks, and it's 51. And Texas, you get the prize of the day. It's currently the hottest spot in Texas right now is Nuevo Laredo and Corpus Christi. San Antonio and Austin and Waco are pulling in a strong 86. And Mexico is 69, Phoenix 81, Tucson 80. Out on the left coast, it's in the 70s and low 80s. Hopping up into Northwest, it is in Medford, Oregon 53, Eugene 50, Portland 51. It's 50 degrees. And it's always raining in Seattle. All right. So there's your current temperature. Let's see what it feels like. What does it feel like, Brenda? Oh, okay. This map show. Yes, I know it. But it feels like. Well, it feels like it's in the 80s, Brenda. Throughout the northeast coast, it feels like it's anywhere from Boston up in the 60s to down south. It feels like it's in the 80s. Down in Key West, well, my favorite place in the world, it feels like it's in the 80s. Brenda, you feel like it's in the 80s. And over on the West Coast, well, it feels in the 50s. That means that the humidity must not be very high today. Yep, that's correct. The most humid areas are pretty much along the Appalachian Valley. It's riding the mountains pretty much from Jackson all the way up through Southwest Virginia. That's where it's got the most humidity today. All right. So there is your current temperatures in the U.S. Now, here you go, Brenda. This will explain it to you. It feels like hell, Glen, is what Brenda says. It feels like hell. All right, so Texas, anybody listening, it feels like hell. So here are some words of warning to you. Brenda says it feels like hell in Texas, and I say don't go outside in East Tennessee because you'll die. So there you go. You have two really good weather forecasts right there. So we look at the weather warnings. You can go to weatherwarn.com and .america.com and see the most recent weather warnings. Be prepared. It'll ding your computer like crazy. So we'll start out in, well, first thing we have is a severe thunderstorm warning for Davidson, North Carolina. And Brenda, this is what we mean. Every day, every day, there's a test message from Montgomery County, Maryland, that comes out of that Gaithersburg, just south of Baltimore, southwest of Baltimore, for a test message. Why do they send a test message out every day? We have acknowledged on this show that the message has been received. If somebody can get it through to Andy to stop sending the text messages. And for those of you that don't understand the Andy joke, let me explain that to Radio X Australia. I know the Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio folks will get it. We had a Saturday show called The Misfits, and we occasionally still have it. And Andy is our friend in Maryland that is the scanner. When I say scanner, I mean like police fire scanner nut. And he is always on top of the fires, always on top of the car wrecks. And it appears that he is somehow connected to the weather service in Montgomery County, Maryland, sending out test messages. So please tell Andy, Brenda, tell him to get the message through to his superiors that as far as Australia, they have received the test messages. So it's all right. So let me say this before somebody asks me. Andy's not really doing this, but we just love to blame it on him. And Denise says, I got a robocall the other night at 12:30 a.m. Well, Andy could be part robot. Just saying. I need to get Andy on this show. I think he would have fun on this show because he could just sit there and watch me BS for 2 hours. So let's continue onward. Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee, North Carolina, Louisiana, Missouri. Oh, well, pretty much even Texas. Well, you're going to get some flooding today. So keep your eyes and ears to the sky. It doesn't look like it's significant weather, but we're just going to get drenched in pretty much the middle of the country eastward. And then around the coast, they have small craft advisories and gale warnings. So, but the flood warnings will be for pretty much later in the evening, further south as it continues raining from Kentucky southward. It's going to be a drencher today and for the next 2 days. So keep your eyes and ears above. Right now, we look and see there's well, let's just look at it. Let's just pull it up. Stop talking about it. All right. So here is the current weather map. We're going to look at those alerts and stuff up as we predicted off the coast of Alaska. Those are small craft advisories off the west coast of Alaska, brisk wind advisories. Remember, they also had some blizzard warnings up there, and they had some volcano warnings out on the far islands of Alaska. So there's always some weather going on up there. We see the flooding continue throughout pretty much from Indianapolis down in the Mississippi. You got the flood warnings. The storm line right now is going from Birmingham, Atlanta, just southeast of Knoxville, riding the top of the Appalachia into Southwest Virginia, almost all the way up to Richmond, out to the Chesapeake Bay is where the most significant storming area is. Looks like primarily over Northeast Georgia is where the heaviest storms are, with the exception of west of Birmingham. There's a small cell there, and there's a small band that'll be approaching Birmingham. So if you're in Birmingham, have your weather radios on. Down south in New Orleans, they have a small cell down there. We know that they're always weather aware in New Orleans because they are, well, below sea level. And it doesn't look like there's anything off the coast in the Gulf of America. That other front is kind of just faded away out in the Atlantic. Let's see where the most electrical activity is right now. And, well, I got to say, I'm going to refresh this because I'm kind of shocked at this. Well, it's still current. I'm kind of shocked at this. I was anticipating that the most electrical activity. Hey, Wendell, welcome. Yes, there's lots of blue dots. See, okay, Brenda, I did a story on my radio show today on the Thin Line Rock Station. I forget where it is. It's a famous theater in Hollywood. They're having sperm racing. You can actually put money on a sperm cell and it's racing through a maze. It's a real thing. So Wendell sees all the blue dots in Alaska. Yes, Wendell, we'll talk about that in a minute. But right now, I'm surprised. I figured most of the electrical activity would be in the Northeast Georgia mountains, but it looks like west of Catoosa, Columbus is getting hammered in Alabama, and along with down Mississippi, it looks like it's south and east of Jackson. So those are the most electrically charged areas at the moment. There's some down, well, in New Orleans. There's always some hanging around down there in New Orleans. Brenda, I don't think you have any strong storms in your area right now. They're all to your east. But that band has got a lot of activity just to the west of Birmingham. And with that band going further down, getting the Gulf air, the concern is that it's going to get some more air or more energy from the Gulf of America and pick up and intensify. Georgia, Madison, Monroe, that area, you've got a thunder cell moving through there. That could be a little sticky. Up in High Point, North Carolina, Lexington, North Carolina, you've got a small cell there as well to keep your eyes on. We go and look north, and there's a pretty good cell to the east of Milwaukee with a little bit scattered into the lower downtown area. So keep your eyes on that. And in Burlington, not Vermont, I guess this is Iowa. Burlington, Iowa, there's a small cell there. So keep your eyes and ears on that. We'll zoom out a little bit further and see. Let's see, nothing in Alaska. We'll jump down here to the Caribbean. Nothing there. All this activity is off to the east and not interfering with anything. That's a mess over there in Europe right now. They're seeing several storms. Looks like Romania and, well, from France all the way up through Germany, there's a strong line of cells there. That's causing some intense lightning. And we jump down to Australia, and it looks like really short of a little bit to the south of Perth. There's a small cell there, but there's no lightning activity currently in Australia. All right, there you go. That is your lightning activity. We're going to jump real quick here. I am disappointed that this site does not show Puerto Rico because I think it should. And, well, wow, 10,000 plus are without power in California. And it doesn't really say why. Okay, well, that's interesting. Usually it'll tell you why, or at least where. All right, so it's showing us California currently has the most people without power, 13,700. Right, Bernie, you and Glen always get my name wrong. What, Wendell? How do I get Wendell wrong? I don't understand. All right, the wind map. This is the smaller wind map. This is just of the lower 48. And we see that the highest wind speed right now is 29.3. I'm going to guess it's somewhere up around Chicago. Maybe it's Columbus because, well, that's where it is. But it looks as though the winds are coming off the Gulf of America, extending up across the Mississippi where they're meeting. A little front coming down, trying to push its way down, and it's causing the turbulent air right there over just to the east of the Rockies. All right, so Brenda, this is our newest map. You haven't got a chance to see this one yet. And we need to hurry for our Australian friends because we're going to run out of time before David Breckmar comes on. This map shows the air quality in the world, and Brenda says her nails are super strong. Chris says, this map makes me think the Southeast has no cities. Well, yeah, we're working on it. All right, we see a little circulation up here off of the Atlantic, off of Nova Scotia, up Halifax in there. We might want to keep our eye on that later this year or later this season. But right now, the air quality is pretty much sucking. It's a combination of pollutants, pollen, and smoke. The air is coming up from, look here, we talked about this the other day. Look at this. This is coming off of Europe and maybe out of Algiers, out that way. Could this be some dust that's getting pulled down across the Atlantic over Bermuda and entering the Gulf of America and will be coming up into the South? Could that be what that is? So we keep calling you Warren. So that could be our first signs of dust coming in from the east. All right, so that's interesting. We see how the air is coming up off the Gulf of America, going up through Texas, up towards Minneapolis, and where it's going to meet that little front. We also have that one coming off the Atlantic side, kind of running the seaboard, and up along Maine, it's pulling in. That's probably where the most dust is coming in. All this from the south is going to hit Texas more than likely, but there is some of it going up into the south, pretty much to the south of Washington, D.C., deep south down in Atlanta, Mobile, that area. Look at the air quality down in Australia. And, well, zoom, there we go. And we see that the air quality is only kind of poor down in Melbourne, but it's all pushing to the northwest out over Alice Springs. And we see you have several fires active in Australia. So, Brenda, this map is specifically for you. Hold on, I'll make it specifically for everybody else. So here we go. There we go. This tells us on our big, beautiful, round blue globe where the air quality is kind of poor, where it's coming from, and the direction of travel. We got another map that shows it a little bit better here in a minute, but this gives us a pretty good visual. We can see the dust coming out of Algiers and extending out into the Atlantic, and it could be getting caught up in the air that's going aloft up through the Gulf of America. So it's a good possibility. So we'll keep our eyes on that. That could be our first signs of dust. This is the interactive map of air quality for the U.S. right now, according to airnow.gov, and pretty much the Northeast corridor from, well, pretty much Boston down through Miami, extending into the south, most of Georgia, North Carolina, all the way down to the tip of Miami. Yeah, it's pretty crappy air right now. It's moderate conditions. Texas, along the along the Mexican border, extending over to California, some moderate conditions. Texas, you've got a mixed bag of moderate air today, and it looks like pretty much there's no red flags. It's all just difficulty, moderate breathing. What makes you think that the blue map is your favorite? I don't think I said the blue one was your favorite. So I got something coming up for you. I think that's what I said, but I don't know. Maybe you don't like the blue map. Brenda likes the other map. This shows the fires currently burning in the United States. And we see that they're still fighting these fires in Carolina. It's only 50% contained, 26% contained on two of the others, 88% contained. That's good news. And over on the west side, it is only 12% contained. That's in the Appalachians between Carolina, and Tennessee is where the most significant fires are currently that they've been battling for several days. Most of these other fires that you see in Texas and across in the Midwest are all prescribed burns. So most of these fires you see burning to the left in the West Coast are all prescribed burns, and that's good news for our environment. I know it's, even though it's Earth Day and we're putting off smoke, it's still good news. Speaking of smoke, we're moving kind of quick today. Here is the smoke map, and we see that pretty much Montana extending to the west up over Seattle and out over the Rockies into Calgary, deep Calgary, is where the snow is smoke, not snow, smoke is extending. And then pretty much the tip of Texas down there by Monterey and most of Mexico is covered in smoke today. We see the fires are still as active. If we zoom in, we'll start to see on this map, we'll start to see the little red dots where the satellites have seen or anticipate that there could be a fire. We'll look at that a little closer on the other map because I think it's a little bit more visually prepared. So that's the smoke map. I got another one coming up. Yes, I do. I have all kinds of maps coming up. All right, so these little red dots are fires that have been detected by satellite, or somebody has called them in, but they are not confirmed as of yet as to be a fire. Okay, so we still see the Carolinas. They're still battling those fire. That's a new one I see here now in central Tennessee. It's 119 acres burning, and it does not look to have much containment. Alabama, I don't see any new fires for you. There's one at the border with Georgia that's 154 acres, and then extending up into Indiana up in there. No confirmed fires, just a lot of little dots. And in Mississippi, you have several that are burning. Like we said, a lot of these are prescribed. Some of them are not, but these are smaller fires as compared. Texas over, you only have one fire of significance right now. It's 700 acres. It's not really confirmed, but that's in Blue Jay. We'll zoom out there, and it gives you a bigger picture. This comes to us from NASA and our friends at U.S. Forestry. And once again, the smoke map, we see that the smoke is extending down through Texas into Mexico and then back up to the left over Calgary on the West Coast. And yeah, that's all for that one. Allergy map, well, we're just going to say it sucks. No smoke over Kentucky, North Carolina, where the fires are. Well, that's because it's the winds, Wendell. Winds are pushing it. So pretty much the center swath of the country, tree pollen, it sucks. So this map is brought to you by the Weather Channel, and well, pretty much allergy seasons here in the South, and it sucks. The big blue beautiful globe window, you were talking about why there is no smoke over Kentucky. Well, if you look and see, it's because most of the winds are being pulled away from both of them. So this is the big blue beautiful globe where we look at the winds. We have to zoom in and keep an eye on this little cyclonic activity up there along Nova Scotia. Didn't see anything on the National Hurricane Center or Weather Center's radar yet as far as what type of activity they were expecting. So apparently there is none. This shows, as we were talking about, the cyclone off of the north coast of Australia is pretty much dissipated to just a little storm right now. Well, not a little, but a smaller storm than it had been. If we look down here in Antarctica, well, there you go, some swirling winds. Is that not pretty? Let's make it for Brenda so that she feels better about this. Let's make it for her. How to do this? Air, height, wind. No, that's all it went. Yeah, there we go. We made it for Brenda so she could see how it is. So there you go. Whoa. I didn't realize I could do that. That's kind of crazy. All right, we're going to get off of this map. I didn't really. I can. What is that? The kid's toy where you can turn the sand and the. Okay, that could be fun to play with. The Wendell, just stare at this deeply, Wendell. Stare at it. Relax, Wendell. Just stare at the wind and relax. All right, we're going to stop playing around here. All right, so we'll look at the Yes, we know. We'll look at the space weather. I'm learning from my buddy in Australia. Chris said, yes, the map did just get better. I didn't know I could do that. So we'll look at the aurora forecast for today for the next 24 hours from the National Weather Service. I didn't know I could do that. And we will see that pretty much nothing is going to be affected in the lower 48. Up in Canada, maybe tips of the northeast Alaska, you may see a little of the aurora, but it looks as though pretty much no space activity to be concerned with in the northern hemisphere. I cannot speak for the eastern hemisphere. We will pull this up real quick because we're running out of time, but this is the USGS, which is the US Geological, and talking about the most recent earthquake was, well, it was just to the north, wait a minute, which one am I looking at? It is to northwest of Sola, and it was a 5.7. Now, which one was that? Because I want to go back and make sure. Okay, so that was a pretty significant 5.7, and that was pretty significant 5.7 to the northwest of Sola, which currently is to the, and in my way of looking at it, 5.7 is northwest of Sydney, directly west of Newcastle. A 5.7 earthquake occurred. That was the most recent one, and it occurred at 12:55 UTC. I'd have to look and see what UTC is, but how long ago that was. Time now. I'm running out of time with Australia. Let's see, Zulu time. Yeah, I can't. What is Zulu time? That's a better question. Let's just ask AI. What is current Zulu time? And currently to 6:54 Zulu, and this occurred at 12:55 Zulu, so 6 hours ago. All right. So Australia's had several earthquakes, one just to the west of Newcastle, and then we'll zoom out some, and it's some off to the eastern sea, up towards Papua New Guinea, some there as well. Let me hop back over to this screen. All right, see, Nora, no, thank you. I'm not a gamer. Thank you, Nora. No, I'm not going to give you my information. And does the Antarctica have the aurora borealis? No, I don't believe so. And Nora, you're obviously an effing moron, because if you've watched my show, you would know there's nothing on my show about gaming. So here's a hint, Nora, go the F away. So there you go. I hate people on the internet sometimes. All right, so the most recent ones were the ones we just pointed out. Let's look at the volcanic activity real quick here. So it's just a scammer. I'm not that concerned about them, but it's just annoying. You're a gamer. Click here. No, I'm not a gamer. F off. All right, so this is the volcano interactive map of volcanoes and recent earthquakes. And Wendell and I were having an ongoing conversation about what if Yellowstone went off. Well, you can't see it over, Brenda, over on my side here of the chat. I have popping up from Twitch. Nora is telling me that since I've got such a popular show on gaming, she wants me to join her game. Yeah, well, Nora, go after yourself. All right, so I can put it up. She wants me. Yeah, see, that's what she wants, attention. Nora Hazel, 88. Go away, Nora Hazel, 88. I'm not a gamer, so there you go. All right, so looks like the most recent volcanic activity was. Why did it not zoom in quicker than that? Okay, I don't know why it didn't zoom in closer to that. Okay, there we go. Down in, well, it was an earthquake 37 minutes ago in the Chiapas region. All right, and then after that, the most recent one we go there is over in the Middle East. I don't know where that one is. I've got to learn my geography to keep up with this one. Coral Sea, they had a 5.7. And Maitland, southeast East Australia or Saudi Arabia, they had a 4.6. So I have to learn my geography a little bit better to keep up with this one. Zoom. How do I go back? Well, at any rate, so that was that. There we go. That's the map of most recent events. Showing volcanic activity as well. There's some volcanic activity up in Iceland. So Nora should be embarrassed. She doesn't know what she's talking about. All right. We're about to sign out for Radio X in Australia and Jurg's Radio. But I want you to remember to come over and catch me tomorrow. Same time, same place. I'm on Radio X in Australia. I'm Jurg's Radio. And we'll be covering the most recent horrific and funny events that take place in the world. So we looked at the earthquakes and talked about them. And all the volcanic, there's no current volcanic activity, no cyclone or hurricane activity. Cover this real quick. Man, that was weird. Real quick, because we are running out of time. Biological origin, animal attacks. Sharks drew crowds who chased and fed them off the Israel coast until one man disappeared. Okay, now that's shady. they chased them, then fed them, then a man disappeared. Okay. If you remember, off the coast of Israel yesterday, a man went missing. So that's 2 people down. All right. We've covered that. Don't feed the sharks. I'm sensing that somebody was covered in bacon grease instead of suntan oil by their spouse. So do not give Mrs. Sportcat any ideas. So we're looking at the current calamities. India, 5 tourists feared dead in an attack on Indian Kashmir. In Belgium, CCTV footage of a broad daylight and shooting in broad daylight near Brussels North Railway. Belgium, 4 people injured in a stabbing. We've talked about that all the time. Be careful of people with knives. In Ireland, police attacked with petrol bombs. We talked about that yesterday. 17 terrorists were killed in separate operations in Pakistan. That's good for the good guys, I guess. And nothing new there. In Kuwait, 2 injured in an explosion in electricity mining. I didn't know you mine for electricity. All right, I'm going to turn Radio X and Radio Australia over to David Breckmeyer on Jurg's Radio. You can find it over there after my show. And then after that, I believe is the Jurg's Mastiff Media show. So make sure to come back tomorrow at midnight your time locally in Australia and find me, Sportcat. I will be here. I will be talking crazy, wacky news until we see you again, Australia, Radio X, and Jurg's Radio. Have a great day. Okay, got that done real quick. Let's see. A fire, no injuries reported as a Delta airplane in Florida. We talked about that yesterday. That was in Orlando. And let's see, 4.0 Mexico earthquake. In India, no 4.0, 6.6 in Indonesia. In Argentina, 4.0. Australia had the 5.1. And then let's pull that. Well, we're not live there, but let's pull it up because I'm curious now to see if there was any injuries or anything that transpired. Yeah, they don't have anything. Did I see that? Yeah, nothing coming from that one. That's good news. All right. So, all right, we'll go on real quick here so I don't keep you guys because I know how you guys are with time. So let's see, I'm going to just skip this map for today because it's not very helpful. We'll pull this up, but I'm not really going to cover it unless something jumps out at me. This is News Live. Well, let's see. There's a brown phone call. Let's just zoom in because it's got to be Washington, D.C. Something breaking. Rubio unveils reorganization of the State Department Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations is axed. Consolidation in East Family Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor still exists. Bureau of African Affairs still exists. This is according to the AP. That's apparently 4 hours ago. All right, let's see what's going on up here. 67-year-old man died in a hit and run on I-695. And there was a fire over in Gaithersburg in Maryland. And it looks like a 3-story residential. Let's zoom out here. I'm only going to try and hit some positives. What happened in Pittsburgh? 15-year-old boy in the hospital after shots fired. That's horrible. Brenda says, I can't go anywhere. Her driver won't take her. So, all right. Well, 141 Adams Street, robbery of a cell phone. 3 black male suspects robbed a mail. There was also, and I don't know if it's going to show up on here, but in Fairfax, Virginia, they rode into a Safeway, which is a grocery store. Yeah, it's not going to show up on here. And they rode into the store, apparently like on motorbikes or something. They robbed the store, threatened to shoot up the clerks. They robbed all the cashiers, and then they took off, and they were never caught. Let's see. I'm just going to kind of zoom along, see if I see anything jump out at me. Louisville, a person is dead in a shooting in Dale, according to the sheriff's office, and a man dies weeks after being stabbed in Portland neighborhood. We talk about that all the time. People need to be careful because knife wounds and attacks are going to increase. All right. We're just going to kind of skip that because we're running out of time. Outboard motor idea is sounding even better now. Yes. All right. So this is the New England Fire Net. We see there's a lot of reports of fires up and down the East Coast. I don't know if Andy did any. Second alarm, Washington, D.C., 1800 block of 14th Street. Second alarm for all floors. The attic, a 2-story middle of the road. That's pretty much a common fire up there. Baltimore. Second alarm, multiple dwellings burning with people hanging out of windows. That's never good. And missing person in the Bronx. All right. And then a Queens in the Belt Parkway. NYPD and FD on scene of a car versus a tree. Operator is DOA. Oh, I hate to hear that. And a barricaded subject on Staten Island. Oh, that's horrible. And let's see what's going on up here. Stabbing in Boston. That's probably just the marathon ended yesterday. Shooting in Boston. So it looks like Boston was quite busy. And a homicide up there as well. So what is this off the coast of Delaware? Mount Brewster, Mass. Person missing. Well, I assume they're out to sea. All right, real quick here. We're just going to move through real quick here and kind of just make it up as we go. Doesn't look as though there's many balloons up at the moment. They're only seeing 2. And it looks like it come out of, well, it doesn't really say where it came out of, but it is drifting at an altitude of 5,085 feet. Currently, it is drifting out over just to the northwest of Tulsa. It had a maximum altitude of 88,000 feet. And the other one up here in Michigan, looks like it took off. It doesn't really see there's no real, there's nothing there where it says it took off. It's currently 44,000 feet and it's traveling south. No, I'm sorry. It's traveling northwest. Be northwest? Southwest. I don't know. It's traveling southwest. It's currently pretty much over the center of Michigan. Oh, wait a minute. That was where it took off from. All right. So it was launched from the International Met System. It's a test one. All right. So there you go. It's a test one coming out of Michigan. What do we have here? This one come from, no, where did it come from? Okay, this took off out of Baltimore from Morgan State University. It traveled to the east and is currently at 59,058 feet with a maximum altitude of almost 90,000 feet. So, all right, so that's pretty much it for our activity. We'll zoom out a little bit further and see over here in the Middle East. In Europe, there are some balloons up. Of course, you're not going to see any over China or Russia. So, all right, we're almost done here, guys. We'll get out of here real quick. Currently, this is what it looks like up above. all the planes in the air. Let's, as we like to do, let's take all that out and see if there's any military traffic. I did read an article that they're going to be relocating and moving military troops, rotating them. So we're going to see a lot of troops coming from Europe. In fact, that's probably one of them, rotating the crews and troops in and out. It's time for crew change. So we'll see a lot of that. If you follow the military aviation, I can reference you the article. That's probably a dignitary there. It's on a little Cessna. I can send you the article if you like. It was in an Army military magazine. But yeah, a lot of this is moving troops and equipment from one place to another. And of course, we always around the border have had a lot of, these are little trainer flights, but I'm sure while they're up there, they're observing little T-38 trainers along the coast are always up in the air. They come out of, sometimes they'll come out of Florida, sometimes they'll come out of the New Orleans area. They're always usually around the coast, but there's always some trainers up along the coastline. So they're training and learning to fly. That's where you get your fighter pilots. It's cheaper to fly a T-38 than it is a 35 or a 16. Now, however, they do, and we can occasionally spot them up in the air like that. Right there is a tanker. It's obviously, since it's come from the West Coast, it is headed back to the West Coast. It's obviously refueling some fighter jets up here that are not showing up on radar. Fighter jets only show up on radar when they get to a certain altitude because they have to. And then this probably right here. It looks like this was a, this is a Boeing 135, and they're probably doing some, observation. So they're currently flying up and listening to things going on. Always good to keep an eye on that. So I'm just kind of scanning around to see if I see anything jump out. We don't see off of the coastline where we were so concerned about here, like we did last week. There's always activity coming in and around DC, Baltimore, Philadelphia. There's always something going on up there. That could be anything from a training mission to they're just moving stuff around. But they're always active up along the Chesapeake Bay, Ocean City, that way, coming southward. But we don't see the activity like we were seeing in the Gulf of America. So that seems to be good news, unless they've went dark and they're not communicating, which is another thing they can do. Once again, we have the Stratotanker. He's coming out of Oregon and flying in a circular up to Utah and back. So there's some fighter jets in the Southwest, and we saw that one down here. There's some fighter jets down here in the Midwest to the Central Plains somewhere. Like I said, they don't show up on radar. So there's that. Look real quick and see. I think I got both pulled up. Yeah, I do. All the little blue dots are significant meteorological events, i.e. turbulence. And we don't see anything special. This is the space operations. They're still doing something at Canaveral. There's still that security event up off of Jacksonville, which we weren't really clear on what that was about. We don't see the ones along the Atlantic coast pop up or in the Gulf, which is good news. There's the one always. Nope, I'm sorry. That's DC up there. There's always that one up there. This one is 25-mile radius. Okay, for 25-mile radius, they don't want any air traffic in Cherry Point. All right, so they must be doing some type of military training there. Of course, down here in Mar-a-Lago, that's always secure. And then they have something down off the tip of the coast. So let's look and see if there's any space operations out of Alaska, because they've been doing that for a while. Nope, just security. I don't see any space operations. So that's Sky Vector. They have several different ones here. I'll show you. This is flight services. This shows you, okay. This shows you, this shows you the flight paths, reigns, and the major NOTAMs. It doesn't show you all of them. These little lines are usually direct routes that they will take, planes will take, that they are pre-mapped out so they can program them in. You don't fly by wire anymore. You pretty much fly by the computer. Don't see anything. The space operations off of the Jacksonville or Cape Canaveral area. Something's going on down here. Pensacola, there's a lot of something going on down there. Down in Elgin, they're doing some kind of training for national security. So Okaloosa County and Okaloosa County, all that in Florida. There's some kind of training going on down there, and some kind of training going on here. That's in Dothan. Wendell, where you're at, let's see if there's anything up there that way. Don't think I saw anything up that way. No. Looks like, well, maybe here in Oxford. National Security, Calhoun County by Anniston. Yeah, well, there you go, Wendell. There is something going on, some type of training that they've got the airs closed. So Putin said to tell you hello, Denise. All right, so there's that. Look at this real quick. This is the past 24 hours live bird migration map. If you remember yesterday, it was much more concentrated, but right now they're estimating there's 25.7 million birds in flight. Looks like it's coming up over you, Brenda, going up towards the Great Lakes. Yesterday, it was pretty much everywhere east of the Mississippi. And this right here is the ship map. I got two of them. I think one shows you all and the other one shows you at sea or at port. I think that this one that shows you at sea port, which is good because it can show you patterns and stuff. But when we look at the other one with marine traffic, you can see their routes, and you can also see the number of parked ones too. Brenda's going to get on bird hunting. Hey, that's a thing to some people. Okay. I don't know. What do you want? So there you go. The space station, where is it currently? Well, there we go. And the space station is currently out off the coast of Africa, about to cover Europe, if you're interested in that. And Brenda, you'll love this map. Let me take away this. And this is currently, if you're out in space and you're looking at the big, beautiful blue round globe, that is all of these satellites above us. So when you think about the planes, they pretty much cover the United States. Well, get a little bit higher, and you have all of the satellites. And here, if I'll really freak you out a little bit, if you didn't see this yesterday, that's the debris. Yeah, that's all the space debris, space junk. That's man-made stuff above our head. You can move this around slightly. It taxes my laptop, so I'll try it when I get home on the big computer, but there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff we have in the air that shouldn't be there. But currently, that is all the current satellites over the United States. It's crazy, isn't it? Well, talking about viruses, Brenda, glad you mentioned that, because the next thing we're going to is the live cyber threat map. This one is live, but I don't think it's as current as the other one. Whoa, you see the United States is nailing Japan there with some type of exploitation. They went to Australia, they're hitting Canada. It looks like the United States is pretty active. Thailand to Brazil. This one I don't think is as up to date as the other one. This shows where all the current ongoing attacks are. These are exploits, meaning they're trying to get into the systems. Boy, that in the U.S. looks like a lot of it's coming from within the U.S. You see us trying to get into Taiwan for some reason. Over there on the right, you see the most targeted countries are Ethiopia, Nepal, Indonesia, Mongolia, and Vietnam, with the sources being education, government, and healthcare that they're targeting. And the top malware device is always mobile. So, but let's look at the other one. I think it's more up to date. I think they're more truthful in what's going on. And then we'll get out of here, guys, because I've kept you over. So as you can see, red is attack, yellow is infections, white is spam. And well, Looks like America is currently on the offense or defense there. They're firing off some, but you see a lot of attacks trying to come into the United States. It looks like they're coming from Asia, Europe, and down there in the Slavic region, and they're just hammering the US. So that's what the current cyber threat looks like in real time, according to Bitdefender. So, all right. Well, I believe I'm going to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm going to call it a day because I've kept you all a little bit over, and thank you. I appreciate you for staying tuned, and I always appreciate Brenda, Denise, Chris, Wendell. I appreciate all of your engagement in the show. It makes a huge difference when it's just me talking. I have somebody to interact with. And please, everybody, come over that's listening and like, follow, share, and please subscribe and hit that notification bell. And, well, when we go live, you'll hear us. So we send out a little song to give you about a minute and a half to get to us. But I will be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock. And then we have a great show lined up Wednesday night. And I'm really pimping this show because two great comic book artists. Her first one hit the books stands and stores and Amazon, I guess, earlier this month. It's called Alienated. It's about aliens that are suddenly on Earth and they're all dead, with the exception of one currently in the book series. And it's in a nursing home with an elderly male teacher. So that's a great comic book called Alienated. And the second one, Omar knocks it out of the park with Major Thomas. It's a long comic book. It's about 100 and some pages. I really encourage anybody, even if you're not a comic book fan, go over to Amazon and get that, because you will not only love the artwork, but the story is great too. It's about a young Indian male that is American Indian that is working his way up through being a farmhand all the way to NASA, where he's picked to go to space. And things go a little bit astray. I think he gets in trouble. They hit a space bump. And, well, it's a great story, great art. It's a quick, easy read, but you'll really cherish it. So I suggest you go pick it up. Major Thomas by Omar Morales, and we will have him on in the second hour of the show. So hopefully you can get the book and read it and have some questions, because it's a great comic book. But it's a quick read. Even Wendell, it doesn't have many big words. Wendell, you'll like it. It's got lots of pictures. So it's got aliens. And you know, when we talk about aliens, what happens? Things go astray. But thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. It was a great show. It was a great show because of all of you. I couldn't do this without you guys. And some days, your encouragement is what keeps me going. Wendell, Chris, Denise, Brenda, all of you, my fan favorites. I appreciate it. I will talk to you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Until then, everybody have a great day. Well, I'm out of this joint. I've done as much damage as I can do.